Today on Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on a big matchup coming up here in the ACC in Week 12 of this 2021 college football season. And it'll be over the Wake Forest Demon Deacons and the Clemson Tigers. Huge matchup for both these teams as we head into Week 12. We got Wake Forest on one side. This team looks to be clearly the best team in the ACC right now. And in Week 12, they got to face off against a team that they haven't beaten since 2008. And that is the Clemson Tigers. Clemson is 7-3 heading into this matchup. They have improved quite a bit over the course of the season, so it's certainly going to be a big matchup coming up here in Week 12 for both these teams. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting out with your team trends. Wake Forest beat NC State in their last game, 45-42 was the final score. And NC State, that is a solid football team, one of the best teams in the ACC, and Wake Forest took care of them. So, I mean, obviously close game, and Wake Forest has played a lot of shootouts this season. I mean, this is a very high-powered offense, but defensively they are not quite as good. But their offense has been keeping them in games, and it's certainly what has led to a big successful season for Wake Forest here. But they are 9-1. They did lose to North Carolina a couple of weeks ago, so that's the one loss of the season. But Wake Forest, this team has played a lot of close games, which can be kind of a concern here. But, I mean, Wake Forest's offense is, truly one of the best in the nation, I do think, and it makes a big difference in games, and that's for sure. I mean, obviously beating NC State. NC State's a good football team. Clemson beat UConn last week, 44-7. They're 7-3, and Clemson, don't sleep on this football team. I mean, if they win out, they're 9-3, get to a decent bowl game. But obviously, I mean, this is kind of a down season for Clemson, and I'm sure a lot of Clemson fans are going to forget this season real quick. I mean, obviously, it's been down based off of how much talent you lost after 2020. I mean, if you look at this offense last year and look at them now, I mean, they lost a lot of incredible talent last season, from last season to this one. So obviously that makes a big difference. And for Clemson, they are playing halfway decent right now. They're playing much better than how they were at the beginning of the season too. Obviously Clemson started out the season 4-3, and they're 7-3 now. They've won 3 straight games. So they're starting to get a couple of wins strung together, which is going to be huge. Game will be on Saturday, November 20th in Clemson, South Carolina. So Tigers are the home team for this matchup. And it's going to be a noon Eastern time kickoff. Spread currently has Clemson by 3.5. Over-under is 56. Your FPI is going Clemson 68.5%. The spread is pretty reasonable to me. 3.5 points towards Clemson. I mean, we have seen Clemson win 12 straight games in this matchup, but FPI is kind of surprising to me. It's going heavy on the Clemson side, 68.5%. Clemson's almost favored by 20% more than Wake Forest in this matchup, which is kind of surprising. But then again, once again, if you look at the series history, it seems reasonable. Clemson winning 12 straight games, and the last time Wake Forest won was in 2008. So it's been over a decade since Wake Forest beat Clemson. Clemson also leads the overall series history, 68-17. Here's your stat comparison for this matchup. You got two very different football teams here. I mean, the main reason why Wake Forest is still winning games is because of their offense. And the main reason why Clemson is winning their games is because of their defense. I mean, they're allowing 15 points per game, and Wake Forest is getting 44 points per game. So, I mean, obviously, if you look at Wake Forest's defense, not very good. I mean, they're allowing 29 average points per game. And to some good opponents, I mean, they've been allowing, like, they allowed 55 points to North Carolina and 56 to Army. So, obviously, I mean, Wake Forest's defense is kind of an issue, especially if you're wanting to make it to a good postseason bowl game. But yeah, for past year's game 318, I mean, Wake Forest, Sam Hartman has been outstanding. He's a very underrated quarterback. Not many people are talking about him, but he's had an outstanding season. 180 rush yards a game, and then for yards allowed, 238 passing for Wake Forest, and then 201 for rushing. And as for Clemson, 24 points per game, which is a pretty mediocre stat, but their points allowed is 15. So obviously that's a good stat line there. And it's going to be very interesting to see how that matches up. Wake Forest's offense against Clemson's defense. You got a great defense against a great offense. It should be an interesting matchup there. But yeah, Clemson, 198 passers a game, 145 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 197 passing, 111 for rushing. And so you can expect Clemson to rush a lot in this game, I think. Wake Forest's rush yards allowed is 201, which is a pretty terrible stat. So certainly that's something to watch out for. Recent matchups, Wake Forest beat NC State there 45-42. Their one loss of the season was to North Carolina on the road by 3. Beat Duke 45-7, beat Army 70-56. Still a baffling score to me. 70-56 that's like a basketball score. And they beat Syracuse 40-37 in overtime. Wake Forest has played a lot of close games this season if you look at their full schedule. Clemson beat UConn 44-7, beat Louisville by 6, beat Florida State by 10, lost to Pitt 17-27, and beat Syracuse 17-14. So they have lost 3 games this season, but they've won 3 straight. And overall, I mean, Clemson, this is a football team that, I mean, obviously it's been a very down season for Clemson, and I'm sure at the end of the day, a lot of fans are going to forget about this season. I mean, this is a pretty forgettable season if you're a Clemson fan, knowing how successful this team has been in the past decade. But, I mean, obviously Clemson this is still a football team that can finish out 9-3 and still get to a good bowl game. So, yeah, still a lot at stake here. Looking at your key points here, Wake Forest, of course, one of the best offenses in the country once again. Played a lot of close games. Haven't beaten Clemson in over a decade, so obviously that's at stake here in this matchup. Potentially, Wake Forest could break that streak. Clemson, 7-3, team slowly growing back into contention. I don't think they're going to win the ACC this season. I mean, I think it's highly unlikely that they do. I think Wake Forest would have to lose their last 2, and Clemson would have to win their last 2 in order for that to happen, which is it's possible, but it's unlikely. So I don't see Clemson winning the ACC. But obviously, if you get a win here, I mean, that's one step in the right direction, certainly. And Tigers have improved over the course of the season, and this is a chance for a big momentum booster. Let's get to the prediction here for Wake Forest and Clemson. I'm going to go Demon Deacons here, 34-27, and this was a tough one to predict. I mean, you got 2 very good football teams here. You got Clemson, which is definitely improving. I mean, yeah, Clemson is a good football team, and Wake Forest, obviously, offensively is one of the best in the nation. I just don't know if this game gets into the high scoring range. I'm not sure Clemson can keep up, to be honest. I mean, their offense is okay. It's improved, but versus Wake Forest's offense, I just don't think that Clemson can keep up. But yeah, so Wake Forest, I do expect them to score at least 30. Clemson is allowing 15 points per game, but this high-powered offense out of Wake Forest certainly could score 25, 30 points at least in this game. Probability 55% towards Wake Forest, so basically a coin toss. Both teams could easily win. Over-under is 56. I'm taking the over. Wake Forest, though, does cover. The spread is by 3 for Clemson right now, so I do have Wake Forest covering by quite a bit. But let me know your thoughts and comments below on this game, and I appreciate you guys all watching. As always, stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you later.